What it is! How's it going, everybody? Today we got a special episode for you, live and in person. It's very rare we do these. The last one was Cruella, which felt like a decade ago. But we're going to be talking about all types of stuff. We're going to be talking about the Batman, more specifically, but we're going to be talking about the Catwomans, the Penguins, a lot of or animal creature people.
Falcon.
And then we're also going to be talking about just epic stuff that happened in this movie. So, if you want to hear what we have to say, sit back, grab a beverage, grab a snack, and listen on in to the first ones to die. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Today is a special day. We're in person.
The way you make it sound, though, it sounds like we're celebrating something.
Well, it's just, we never get to actually be in person most of the time because Jonathan can't be with us. And as you can tell, because we're in person, Jonathan is not with us. Jonathan,
in spirit.
He is with us in spirit. He is embodied in this guitar that is in the middle.
I mean, it's skinny like him.
He just ended up having a lot to do with his new job, so he was unable to watch the movie in time for this review, but he is definitely going to be here next week, so tune on in, check him out, because he's not here. If you want to follow him at Jonathan Keys on Instagram and all his other social medias if you want to see what he's up to.
You gotta do his catchphrase. Jonathan Keys at Twitter and anywhere you please. I don't think that was it.
I think it's Instagram and anywhere you please.
Yeah, he says one social media. I think you're right. It's Instagram or wherever you please. Jonathan Keys, all social media. There we go. That's what it's down to.
So, yeah, big shout out to Jonathan. Hope you're doing all right out there. But here present is I, Jerome, and then also Alex as well. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm tired, but today was my last day at my current job, which, is bittersweet. Moving on is always a bittersweet, I feel, because I'm going to new places, learning new things, but I'm leaving some people behind that I really wish I didn't have to leave, and, but, everything, it's just time in general. But how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Those who follow me might know I actually announced this week that I got into the Milestone Initiative being ran by DC Comics as well as Ally. I'm super excited, super jazzed about it. If you want to know more, I'll put a link in the description below for this video for you to go check out more about the Milestone Initiative, its vision, mission, and also the other classmates. But I am super hyped to be a part of it. We're
very proud of you. Also, I just realized you told me in right before the movie, so I couldn't properly, give you, celebrate with you. I slapped your leg really hard, though.
It wasn't too hard. It wasn't too bad.
That's my family's, me and my sister and my mom. We hit each other really hard, on the back or something. And we forget, people don't try to bruise one another in celebration. But yeah, I just thought about it. I'm like, wait, you told me in a theater where I couldn't, speak loudly or say anything. I had to be like, I'm proud of you. That was, what the hell, man?
Yeah, they also gave me this awesome sweatshirt. So, yeah. But it's actually fitting because it's DC week for me. Because it's not only the milestone thing, but also we got to see The Batman. We watched it last night. And now we're going to review it tonight. For those who have never tuned into one of our reviews before, how this is generally going to go is that we're going to give our general thoughts, quick 5 to 8 minutes, talking about our thoughts, what we thought about the movie, what we thought about some of the performances, stuff like that, without spoilers. And then we'll just go into a full-blown spoiler section after that. And we'll tell you when that is. So firstly, we'll start with the generals. Alex.
I do want to make it known well off the bat, I don't like Batman. If you've ever heard me before, I don't like him. I've never liked Batman. I have a lot of issues with Batman. A lot of arguments about Batman. Not a fan. Not at all. However, I actually did enjoy this movie a lot more than I had anticipated. And it was a little funny because I think I showed you there was a dramatic scene going on and my Apple Watch actually notified me that my heart rate started to pick up. And there's like, you've been inactive for like 25 minutes and your heart rate's picking up. Are you okay? I was like, shit, I am getting into this movie. Okay. Damn it. Yeah, but I actually ended up enjoying it really well. Robert Pattinson was surprisingly good in this. Well, he's actually not a bad actor in the things I've seen him in other than Twilight. Mm-hmm. He's actually very skilled. And I think with Batman, he got to really like show a new light where he got to be more dramatic, but in not an emotional way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or like, I guess it is an emotional way, but in like the dark entity kind of way, and it fit well with him. I liked the cast. They were all really well. I did not, who was it? Colin Farrell? Mm-hmm. That you told me was a Penguin. I was still shocked, even though you told me earlier, apparently. I did not recall. I did not realize that was him at all. So that's a nice surprise later on, but it ended up being really good. I will say, I wasn't aware of this. I do suffer from pretty bad migraines. They've actually landed me in the hospital from time to time. So there are scenes with strobe lights. So if you're planning on watching this movie, like that's a good heads up to have, because I had to miss a good 10 minutes hiding behind my answer scene. Yeah, of like a big fight scene, and here I am just having to do this and being like, you have to tell me when it's over, or I'm gonna like, and it was like intense strobe lights because they were like, well, I'm not gonna say, it was just a very dark scene and all of the lighting was just strobe lights, so that was like a big effect that I had to like make sure to hide away from. So that was a little irritating. But like all around, this was actually a surprisingly good film. I still hate Batman, but I didn't mind this one. So what about you?
I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I had no doubts from the directorial side, just because this movie's directed by Matt Reeves, who I'm a huge fan of ever since I watched his Planet of the Apes movies. He did the last two. And I love those so much. I think they're really good movies. So I was like, he's doing Batman now? I'm in. But even on the writing side too, like this movie is really well written. I loved all the cast. I think Robert Pattinson is fantastic as Batman. Zoe Kravitz is now my favorite version of Catwoman that we've had on screen so far. I really like how much they dive into the lore of Batman. They do some stuff where I'm like, they're doing that in this movie? Yeah. And it's mostly, and I mean, if you're an avid Batman fan, a lot of it is stuff where you're like, oh, well, they're pulling from this book and they're pulling from that book and whatever.
Yeah, there was a couple times where I was like, is this in the comics? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Feels like it has a comic book vibe, but you never know when it comes to like the movies because they change them up so much. But I was like, all right, this kind of feels like it's a canon. So I was like, let me ask.
Yeah, so it's I thought that was really cool. And also, thank you, Matt Reeves, for being the first Batman director to realize, maybe we could do a movie with no Joker in it as the main villain. Like, I am so glad that Riddler is the main villain of this story. I love Riddler. He's one of my favorite Batman villains, if not my favorite Batman villain. And so I'm glad we finally get a Riddler movie, even though he's not traditional Riddler. He doesn't have the green bowler hat and like pimp cane with the question marks everywhere.
He's more realistic Riddler.
Yeah, he's more the Riddler of like
a deranged guy with under 500 friends or followers. That's the real threat.
With an ingenious IQ. I think that's the biggest thing too, is that he's like wicked smart. And might even be on the spectrum, to be quite honest, with the way they wrote him. Like so it's very interesting the way they do Riddler in this movie, and Paul Dano does an amazing job playing him as well. So overall, I really like this movie a lot. If I have one criticism, it's mainly just the fact of Pattinson does a great job playing Batman, and he's Batman for like 80% of this film. But when he has to be Bruce Wayne, I don't think he ever stops being Batman. He's just Batman without the suit. He's just kind of brooding all the time. And I'm sure that was the goal of the movie, was for him to be very reclusive and not very personable. But I think that's the way Bruce Wayne is in the dichotomy between Batman. The idea is that no one thinks Bruce Wayne is Batman because when he's in the public, he's this eccentric billionaire who's like swaggy and like has a bunch of girls around and is kind of like playful, so he can't be Batman.
I did like this Batman more because they all felt more realistic. Because I think it was, I don't want to say what I'm about to say because I don't know if I saw it in the trailer or if it was directly in the movie. But like, if you think about it, Batman is up every single night fighting crime, getting the shit kicked out of him sometimes. And then he's supposed to go in the morning to like some meeting at the office and be like, okay, like I try to go to bed at like 8 p.m. and I wake up and I'm like looking like shit. I got bags under my eyes because I had sugar too close to going to sleep and I'm dragging my ass to work. You can't tell me that like the 35-year-old, close to 40-year-old, Bruce Wayne is okay doing all this, getting his head kicked in sometimes, and then being like, yeah, I'm going to go have omelets with, like, the board of directors. Like, no, dude is probably dragging. So this felt like, I think why I enjoyed it is because this felt realistic.
I also did like that he's a younger Batman, too. He's only been doing it 2 years, so he's inexperienced.
Yeah.
He's not, like, the pristine Batman who, like, knows every martial art and is, like, so much of a detective he's damn near psychic.
Like Christian Bale's like Batman, he went to like that training and all that stuff. He came back and it was just like, oh, yeah, I guess so. But then it lacked the imperfections of it. He was just Batman. But this one, I also liked the Batman was also leaner. He wasn't a heavy muscular.
Yeah.
Which felt more, again, realistic because of the fighting style and having to swiftly move. I don't know if you've seen a very muscular man. They can't move very fast.
Which, funny enough, that was a big point of contention for a while when they were making the movie, is that Robert Pattinson said he refused to work out for this movie. In the sense of meaning, most people, especially now, both Marvel and DC do this, when they hire people to do their movies, they ask for them to bulk up. And Robert Pattinson was like, I'm not doing that.
Well, think about like Chris Pratt playing Star-Lord. His whole appearance changed.
The thing about Chris Pratt, though, is he made that choice on his own. He decided to do that before they even asked him. But then you look at someone like a Paul Rudd and like Kumail Nanjiani, where it's like they didn't have to bulk up, but you made them bulk up anyway to be these superheroes.
So this felt like more realistic because he's also not eating right. You can't bulk up like that in reality if you're not eating heavy food, because I think the one thing I saw him eat during the entire movie is a blueberry. And he had an orange juice. And that was it. I never saw that man drink water once.
Which that fits actually with Batman's thing, because you never see Batman eat. Alfred prepares food and Batman never eats it because he's too busy being Batman.
That's like a movie and a TV show. Like kids run down the stairs. The parents have perfected like a luxury breakfast with pancakes and eggs and everything. The kid grabs a piece of toast. Batman's kind of childish. But like I think this is why I enjoyed this. It's realistic. I was like, yeah, he could be Batman. And like even his suit I thought looked better because it didn't look like it was carrying a lot of heavy stuff. Like it looked like something he could swiftly move in.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate
it. It was body armor, but it had the proper like joint dislocations for him to move.
Well, it kind of reminded me, because people think like a knight suit, like from medieval times, is like stiff and things, but it's actually very flexible. That's kind of what it reminded me of. It's very protective. It's close to the body, and it seems flexible, and it protected the main parts. Yeah, no, I thought the suit looked better. It didn't have so much, like, oh, you can tell it's bulletproof because it has all these like designs, that the netting and all that stuff, and like it was just like simple black. It looked like armor. Looked good.
So, overall, those are our general thoughts. We're going to go into spoilers now. So if you haven't, I'm going to say this again because this movie is very popular. If you have not seen The Batman, we are going to spoil the whole movie, or at least the majority of the parts we remember, which is going to be big stuff. So turn off now. Well, and go watch The Batman, then come back. Don't forget about us. Come back. Watch this.
Or if you just want to hear spoilers, go for it too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I like reading spoilers.
That's true.
Like,
So there's some things that I'm like, I am not going to ever watch this movie. Just go ahead and spoil it. I don't care.
I'll get bored halfway through a movie and be like, I'm just gonna, okay, this is how it ends. I'm good. Actually, I just did that last night. Somebody recommended a movie to me. Went on Wikipedia, read the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I was like, good. I'm good.
But if you do want to follow us, I feel like this is a great interjection time to just be like, if you do want to follow us, find out more about the stuff we're doing, stuff like that, or just see extra content. First of all, if you're watching the YouTube video, check out the YouTube channel. We got all types of stuff going on. Vlogs, gaming videos, extra content, mini reviews and book reviews, all that stuff. You can find all that on the YouTube channel at The First Ones to Die. If you're listening to this on the audio version, which for those who want to find those, it's on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be found. So Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. I meant to say Amazon Music. But if you are listening to the audio version, head on over to YouTube to see filmed versions of all of our podcasts, as well as that extra content I previously mentioned. And then follow us on all of our social medias to get updates on what we're doing, what we're up to, all that stuff. And that's at The First Ones to Die on everywhere. So, Batman. I know you say you don't like you never liked Batman.
I never liked Batman.
What has been your issues with Batman? Let's establish that right now before we get into why you like this Batman compared to other Batmans.
Do shit. He just fights people. Like, yeah,
he takes them to jail.
Great, the Arkham Asylum that's literally been known to be so corrupt. He's aware of the police corruption too. But yeah, let me keep handing these hardened criminals over and how they keep escaping, because this works well. This is great. Just keep putting them in there. I'll keep chasing them.
He has to believe in the system.
Then fix the system. You have that money.
That's what he's got Commissioner Gordon for. Commissioner Gordon is trying to keep the system clean.
The poor man who's working like 24 hours a day, having to defend you all the time. Hey, you also need to fix the entire police system here because you're like the only good one. I'm going to go hang out in my little bat cave.
To be fair, there are other good ones. They just haven't shown up yet, like Harvey Bullock, Renee Montoya. Other cops who aren't named in the comics except for those two, but there's other good cops in Gotham.
Great, the 5 of them. They can fix the entire system. When this movie shows that it goes all the way to the mayor. Great. Could at least like use, and then he's just like, he's so like dramatic about everything. I watched my family die. So did all the other superheroes. You're fine.
That's not true. Superman didn't see his parents die. He found out about it through an email, basically.
Dude, like his whole planet blew. He has more reason to be annoyed. And like, yeah, it's just he's unnecessary. He's actually unnecessary, and some of the villains that are created because of him.
Technically only one. That's Joker.
Oh, the worst one that everybody keeps using, and they're like, oh, he's just there to cause destruction.
First of all, I've always had an issue with Joker's
I do like the relationship.
Penchant for destruction, because I'm just like, does the death penalty not exist? Because at some point, the insanity plea for Joker has to stop.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is.
It's just like, no, you are very aware of what you're doing. You're getting the chair. It's like,
he's literally like,
we're done.
Medication. Having medication keeps me from becoming the Joker.
There is a story, and I have it in my little library there, of the Joker taking medication and becoming sane.
Yeah, it's called antipsychotics. They work wonders. Pop a pill. It's okay. Medication's okay, children. When prescribed by a doctor and you feel comfortable taking it. But that's not the point. Well, clearly he needs to take it. I mean, right off the bat, I was already making jokes. Like the first scene, the first opening.
Now, funny enough,
he is the shadow.
That line was funny. I mean, I know it's like so Batman, and I'm sure a lot of comic book fans were like, oh, shoot, that's like a Batman line. But I'm like, I'm sorry, it's cheesy. It's cheesy to say like, it's like they think I'm hiding in the shadows. I am the shadows. It's just like,
I think I like snorted or laughed or something. You just started laughing because I was like, I'm sorry.
It's like, all right, calm down, man. Listen to your Avenged Sevenfold somewhere else, okay?
Seriously, it was just like, I think I kept saying that every time he said, I am vengeance. I'm like, you're the shadow too.
Now, the I am vengeance line I do like, although I did think it was weird that everyone calls him Vengeance. I'm like, he's Batman. Just call him Batman. Everyone, and I always thought it was people making fun of him, but then after they just kept saying that, I'm like, do they think that's his name for real?
No, they call him Batman.
I mean, it's just that, like...
Or they call him the Bat.
Penguin calls him Vengeance at one point, like, mockingly. Catwoman consistently calls him, hey, Vengeance, like, throughout the movie.
Well, like, everybody, like...
Very few people call him Batman. Why do they call him
Vengeance if they don't know that his family was murdered? Vengeance for what?
No, he always says, I am vengeance.
For what?
In the sense that he is the vengeance for those who are the victims in Gotham of the criminal element, which is
Wouldn't
a lot.
That still be
Gotham.
Justice? Because you're prosecuting the bad. It's not actually vengeance.
Well, I think in his mind, it is justice, but it's also vengeance because, like, justice would be just letting them get arrested and then they go into the system.
Oh, so beating the shit out of them?
Beating the shit out of them until, like, so they are so crippled that they never even want to think about doing a crime because they know what that's going to lead to.
Well, clearly it does not work. Clearly being vengeance is not a good thing.
Well, that's the lesson at the end of the movie. When he says, I can't be a vengeful protector. Fear isn't enough. I need to be a beacon of hope for the people of Gotham, not just vengeance with
This is another
fists.
thing. Every superhero, I need to be a beacon of hope for the people.
I mean, it's true. And in Batman's case, it is entirely true because, I mean, they can't trust the cops. They also
do it.
They can pretty much only trust Batman to take care of things.
Great. So the man in armored tights, I have to put my faith in. Wonderful.
And now you see the debate that is in a lot of Batman comics.
Or he could just help reform the city with actual real programs.
Listen, he doesn't want to do that, all right?
No, he wants to brood in his little castle.
And plus,
by the way, I will say
he can't
Wayne
trust
Manor.
them.
I will say Wayne Manor. That was a nice house. I will give to the decor.
Good, nice.
That was a beautifully done. Like, I would live in that. That's a straight up like castle.
But he can't trust them because if he gives out money, he's either going to get him killed by somebody who's corrupt. Or if it doesn't get him killed, the corrupt will find a way to loop the money around to make it work better and benefit their ends. Like they did in this movie with his dad's money after his parents died.
Yeah, but his dad was weak and went to Falcone. He doesn't have to go to Falcone. He doesn't have to go to Penguin. He doesn't have to go to anybody.
But it would happen regardless of if he did anything or not.
Then he's weak.
No, he's a person.
He has the money,
Alex, if you had access and power... If there's but you're not a criminal mastermind. If someone wanted to, like, go underneath you or behind you to get your money and use it for their own criminal ends, doesn't make you weak if you got bamboozled. Everybody gets tricked from time to time.
If you've already known who these people are, you know the faces of all the major criminals, how they work, and you know how your dad died because of them, and you can't even tell which mob boss actually directly killed your father and mother. Yeah, you can find a way to work it out.
I do like that they keep it vague here because even Alfred's he thinks it might be Falcone, but he doesn't know that. That's why he's like, I don't know, or it could be some street thug.
Falcone was like, I can't tell if it's the other guy or not. Yes or no?
I like that they keep it vague though because I've always liked that. I've never liked. I mean, in the comics there is an answer.
Who's it?
Joe Chill, who was just a random hood, just trying to rob the Waynes. Yeah, but. I've liked when it's just vague. It's just nobody. It's just like, no, this is Gotham. This type of stuff happens. You're not special because they're the Waynes.
Clearly he is.
But I like that being vague because that's what makes Batman necessary. That it's like nobody's untouchable. Even the richest family in Gotham can still suffer from the criminal element in the city and it needs to change. Thus,
so
Batman.
He gets all armored up to go fight thugs on the street and then is like, oh, we can't go ahead and beat the shit out of Falcone or something. That's crossing a line.
Well, the problem with beating up Falcone is that, like, that's an organization. Thugs are just people who just, like, decided that day they were going to buy a gun and go rob somebody. Falcone, it's like, even if you stop Falcone,
a man
you got to stop
who has
another
organized
person.
And, like, plans every evil detail. Not talking about a guy who may be short on cash or needs to do what he needs to do to steal, which I think sometimes that happens. You got to do what you got to do. I am
Okay,
understanding
but maybe
that.
not,
So
like-
let's go beat the shit out of him.
Maybe not kill somebody, though.
Like,
And also, it's,
Batman just has no fucking chill.
And also,
you gotta calm down.
You gotta remember, Gotham.
He needs Prozac.
Gotham
That's what he needs.
is a city filled with crime 24/7, 365. Okay?
Batman needs a Wellbutrin.
There's more criminals than there are just civilians at this point.
He needs Wellbutrin, people.
It's just like John Wick. In the John Wick movies,
Do not bring John Wick into this. You leave
there
John
are
Wick
so many
alone.
assassins in John Wick. There's no way there's a populace
John
of
Wick
just
or
normal
Keanu
people.
Reeves anywhere into this. You leave them alone.
So, in Gotham, there's more criminals than there are people. So Batman's like, nah, we got to balance these scales a little bit. This ain't going to work.
Clearly, it's not working at all. He's not balancing anything.
But going into this movie, I really enjoyed all of the lore drops in this. Also, hey, Mortal Kombat, come here real quick. Come here. This is how you use your lore to tell a good story. You don't just ignore it and throw it away because you don't know how to use it. This is how you use it, okay? Let that be known.
You have to let that go.
Because I love that, like, they reach it for so many things. They mention the Carmine Falcone thing with Selena, which was awesome. I love that they mention Batman Hush is referenced in here with Elliot, the reporter that they say died.
I'm gonna just stare at you like I know what you're talking about.
I know.
So
I know you don't know what I'm talking about.
I will look in your general direction, but if my eyes start to cross, you gotta like snap your fingers or something.
It's like they reference Batman Hush. They reference Batman Earth 1 with the Waynes and the Arkhams being a thing of like Batman's mother being an Arkham and his dad being a Wayne. So I love that they reference all of those things and use them very well in this movie, especially the Arkham thing, because I think that's the coolest part of Earth 1. If Batman Earth 1 is them trying to retell Batman again, but in a modern era. And with the idea being that Batman is just starting out, like he's fresh, and so he is very bad at it. And I'm very certain a lot of stuff from Batman Earth 1 inspires this movie, because also in Batman Earth 1, Alfred trains Batman. He doesn't go to the mountains to become a ninja. Alfred just used to be military, and he becomes Thomas Wayne's security detail for a while when he's alive. And when he dies, he takes it upon himself to try and teach Bruce, but he's like, all I can do is teach you how to fight, but I don't know how to be a dad. Like, that's not what I do. I'm a soldier. And I like they reference that.
The whole family's melodramatic.
I love that they reference that even in this movie, with Alfred being like I didn't know how to raise a kid. All I could do is teach you how to fight. Like,
nobody knows how to raise a kid. My parents didn't know how to raise a kid either.
Yeah, but you know how some hardened people, they're just like, I can't be a dad. I'm too damaged. Like that's Alfred.
Again, my parents did it. I love you, Mom, and I do respect you. Thank you for everything you did. But the point is that they're so melodramatic. That's another thing is, I'm damaged. Fuck yeah.
Every comic book is melodrama, though.
It's just so much, though. Like, I feel like it's overplayed with Batman. And, like, but I did enjoy this one, I think, because it felt more realistic. And knowing... Because when they show a lot of the Batman movies, or the ones I've seen, is that he is starting out, but they kind of do jump scenes where like, oh, here's him training. Here's him developing this. Suddenly he's Batman and he's like all like ready to be Batman. This is like him still getting his legs. Like there was a scene where he was escaping the cops and he was gliding in his squirrel suit.
I thought that was cool, though, that the cape turns into a glider.
Which makes it justifiable to have a cape. It's justified. I will give him that. I was ragging on the cape for a long time. Because, like, he trips on it, or, like, it got caught somewhere for, like, a millisecond.
Like, they pulled it at the end. They, like, pull him by it, and I was like, the cape was a bad idea for this mission. Take the cape off.
I think the cops even did that when he was when he was a kid. They, like, yanked at his cape a little bit. I'm like, it's like when you yank on a cat's tail. It's like, don't do that. Don't touch my cape. But anyway, he's in his, like, squirrel suit, and he's, like, gliding, and then he tries to get onto a bus, on top of the roof bus, you know, to just kind of ride it under the bridge, but instead he miscalculates, hits the bridge, hits the bus, and kind of does a drop and roll. And it does show that like he got hurt, you know? And
Which
then it was
I
got a
remember
little
seeing
fun.
that scene and being like, Jesus, man, like, do you have a concussion or something? How
Which
are you
is why
walking
I'm
right
like,
now?
okay, this is a more realistic Bruce Wayne where he's secluded because look at the damage he just took. Like, you can't look at me and tell me he's gonna go be a playboy the next day. He like he had to wobble home. And of course he lives like on a fucking hill too. That poor man has to wobble up hills or something. And like he has like mountains of staircases too. Like, no, poor man just got a concussion.
I love how down to earth it is. Speaking of like how new he is to it, I love how down to earth he is that he has the suit just like in a backpack.
Yeah.
And he drives around as Bruce Wayne. I mean, technically not really as Bruce Wayne because he still has the eye makeup, but as Bruce Wayne in that he has civilian clothes on with like a motorcycle helmet or a hat or something.
Well, the makeup wasn't even that heavy when he was just kind of driving around as like a watcher. He was like kind of a watcher. He wasn't even wearing that heavy of a makeup. It was just like enough. And he had a mask up to his face and what is it with superheroes or like superhero movies and the baseball cap? Because,
you know, and actually it has been proven if you're walking in a crowd with a baseball cap, people do check out and not like see you if you put your head down and your cap's kind of covering your face.
See, if I see that, I think you're suspicious.
Most people would, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people, they miss people because they're so used to seeing people's faces. So human brain is predisposed to look for faces. If you don't see faces, sometimes, most of the time, for most people, you'll like, and you know.
See, if you make eye contact with me, I will immediately look away. That's how you get me. If you look me in the eye, I'm like, oh, hell no. But like, that would make sense for Gotham because nobody had any social awareness or like survival instinct in this movie. There's a scene where a guy with a bomb strapped to him comes out of a car and like nobody runs away. The cops even yell, "There's a bomb!" And what do? Wah! And bend down until somebody finally goes like scatter. Then they run.
Well, the cops are like, "Get everybody out of here!" And then they're like, "All right, time to leave."
And then instead of being control of the situation, be like, "All right, everybody out," or like, "Let's start moving," they're like, "Get everybody out," and people start trampling each other getting out. So like that wasn't good organization either. And then it was like, oh, there was another scene where I was like, why would you just hang around for what's going on? Why are you just staying there? You should have left. Oh, there is a guy who gets beaten up at the beginning of the film where he is the Shadow. Just never gonna let that go.
No, that's when he's like, "I am vengeance."
No, they think I'm the Shadow. Or they think I'm in the shadows. I am the shadows. And he comes out of the shadows to beat up those guys at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And the guy who was originally about to get beat or jumped by the group is just hanging out.
Yeah, he's just sitting there.
He's literally
I would have been gone.
He's sitting on the ground watching everything. And it's like, leave.
I would have been out.
The moment somebody came to like jump the other guy, I would have run.
I'm like, all right. Funny enough, Batman's costume is so like self-explanatory. Even if you wanted to come up with something to call him, you would literally just be like, all right, Batman over there has got it covered.
I wanted to flick his ears the entire time I watched the movie.
His ears were
when he was
so
like
thin.
walking around the like crime scene, I was like, if I was like somebody in that scene, I would have just gone. Like,
he has very thin ears. I was surprised at how thin they were, because they're and I think it's just because they're so short. They're not like the long protruding ears.
Yeah, because you don't need the long protruding ears.
You don't. But it's just one of those things where I was like, this is a Batman suit where you could tell it's like it could be like proto.
It looks
Batman
like it would fit in a backpack. It looks like a reasonable suit that you could hide somewhere nearby compared to like all the other ones, except for like the Adam West one.
Yeah, that one's just all fabric.
That one's just fabric. Also, and I brought this up in the when I was talking to you because it was something I saw on Supergirl when they had Superman on there, who's played by I forget his name, Tyler something. Anyway, he gets shot at as Superman, and then once the bullets don't work, the criminal tries to punch him, and he's like, "I never understood that. Why, if the bullets don't work, you think hitting me is going to?" And that's all I thought about every time they shot at Batman. They show constantly that he is wearing a bulletproof suit repeatedly, and then they try to hit him where he's armored. And then, like, when the Penguin shot at his car, I'm sorry, the man is wearing a bulletproof suit, but you don't think his car that is like revved up with fire coming out the back is bulletproof? He forgot the bulletproof windows, the flaw design in the Batmobile. That was it. Tinted windows, leather seats, cup holders, that weird engine with the flame at the back. It's made sure to look a little bit like a bat with the end of it. But hey, let's forget the bulletproof windows. It might make the car a little heavy. Like, everybody wasted so many bullets in this film, and nobody actually got shot except for, I think, Falcone.
That's because Batman knows that the criminal element in Gotham are idiots. Otherwise, they wouldn't be criminals.
And yet he can't take any of them down properly.
Yes, he has. This is and besides, it's only year 2. All right, he hasn't been operating very long.
I'm just talking about Batman in general. Clearly, the criminals are not that smart. I mean, this man is literally coming at you with like all these gizmos and gadgets. But yes, that one gun from like your personal thing where it's a gold gun, that's gonna kill him. Absolutely.
What do you think of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman?
I liked her a lot. She moved like Catwoman.
She did.
She was very...
She had a sway to her. She had like the way she walked, I mean. She had a sway to her that kind of was more cat-like.
It reminded me a little bit of Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
That she had the steps like Eartha Kitt, but when she was fighting Batman, there was a cat mouse style going on with it.
It was very fluid and fast, but it was always start with the legs.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. Why was she kicking so much? She just like immediately starts kicking. I
think that was her style of combat they chose for her, like as far as the stunt training. I don't know what it is, so don't quote me on that. But it seemed like a very particular way of fighting compared to Batman, who's more like a bruiser in this movie, where he just like.
But she was able to elude him quite well when they were fighting. Mm-hmm. He didn't get any hits. She got a couple hits.
Well, he blocked a lot of her hits, and he was never trying to hit her. I think he was just trying to defend.
She also could have just like probably catted away out of there because she had very fluid motions. He was very stiff. But I understand why they needed that fight scene. They needed, have a moment together, blah, blah, blah. I need to trust you.
Yes, I like that it's a one-sided romance, though. Because most of the time with Batman and Catwoman, there's always like the love interest in the Batman comics. If anything, she's at least the most consistent love interest that he's ever had.
They end up marrying. Most recent ones.
They don't. He proposes, and I only know that because that was a big issue with all of the Batman fans, is that they set up this long, drawn-out proposal. She gets a dress and everything. He's got the suit and everything.
Does Batman marry Catwoman, or is it Bruce Wayne marrying Selina?
No, it's technically Batman marrying Selina, but at that point, they know each other's secret identities.
Well, yeah, I meant, are they doing, were they planning a public marriage?
Oh, yeah, it was going to be, a kind of a public wedding. Because it's public knowledge that Selina Kyle's Catwoman. It's just not public knowledge that Bruce is Batman.
Right, so it's going to,
she was going to show up in kind of like a cat-ish black wedding dress. He was going to show up in a tux as just Bruce Wayne. But...
So everybody would have known he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, but it was all planned out. And then they literally... I think either she stands him up at the altar. I think it's Catwoman stands up at the altar. And I forget the reasoning for why they don't get married. But everyone was pissed. Because they were like, are you kidding me? All this setup and you just go walk away that?
Batman can't be happy. He needs to brode. How else can a bat be in the dark?
I didn't care either way because I wasn't reading Tom King's Batman at the time anyway. But I don't know how much of that I can actually say because I now technically am working with DC.
Yeah, you let out a lot, man.
I still think it was a good story after I read it behind the scenes, but public reception was not very good about it. But that being said, I like that in this movie though is very much like Catwoman is clearly into Batman, and Batman might like her in that way, but he's kind of socially awkward. He doesn't know how to interact with her.
Yeah, which again gave another real feel because he's just like, I don't know what to do. I spend all my time in a mansion with an old man.
Because even at the end, when she's saying goodbye, you can tell he wants to kiss her, and he tries to lean in, but he doesn't know how to, so he kind of just gets close, and then he's like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I punch criminals, okay? That I know. I don't know how to do this between me and you. I'm not used to that. I'm uncomfortable right now.
He's just... I like this Batman because he is more realistic. Of course, like, you know, even in the Bruce Wayne, not the comics, but like the other Bruce Waynes, he's supposed to be shutting out. Yeah, he's a playboy billionaire, but he actually never sleeps with anybody. He never actually does that or at least I haven't read the comics. I don't know if he's like a whoring around in the comics or whatever.
In the comics, it's like he has a few love interests, but as far as
but does he sleep?
As far as like flings, not really. He's not really.
That's not really a playboy then.
It's
the rumors.
That's the facade in the public,
right?
Is that people think he's a playboy who's irresponsible and it's to help subvert the idea that he's Batman because it's like Batman is brooding, dark, mean, like
do you think
aggressive.
He pays women to say that they slept with him?
I don't know if he pays them to say he slept with them, but he definitely like will, or him or Alfred will like find women to just like kind of be around at parties and stuff. And then after the night ends, he's like, all right, cool, you can go home. Like, I'm cool.
That kind of prostitution?
I don't know if they're prostitutes.
It feels like a little escorty to me.
It's probably like models or whatever. It's like, oh, I get to hang out with Bruce Wayne? Cool.
And like the models wouldn't be like, yeah, it was really weird. Like the old man came to pick me up. The guy didn't like really talk to me. And then we went to the party and he was like holding on to me a lot. And then we walked out and he's just like, okay, later. Like...
See, that's not weird because literally celebrities do that.
Yeah, and it comes out that they do that.
Like, it's like, no, it's like they have to sign a thing and it's like a serious thing. Like, for example, there was this girl who told a story about how she once went to a Chris Brown party. But the way she went to the party is that she found out from like some person, her and a bunch of other girls met at a place, got in a van that drove them to Chris Brown's place. Then they hung out in a mansion for a while until some other guy who I guess was part of Chris Brown's like entourage or whatever came and said, hey, Chris Brown would like to meet you. And then brought her over. And then she had to leave home by herself. So it's like, okay, that type of stuff happens with celebrities.
That's how you get murdered. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So it's like that type of stuff does happen.
Sorry. So in Gotham, that is known to have like heavy criminal activity, that's known to have all this bad stuff. You're just trusting this man to come up to you and be like, hey, yeah, Bruce Wayne wants you to have like a date with him that night. And like the people are like, yeah, that's okay. I see nothing wrong with that at all. That's how you get murdered. You're not going to look at me and tell me a billionaire is cool.
We're talking about an element of the comics that is not focused on because it's not important.
I'm saying in general, this is why I don't like Batman.
It's not important, all right? Batman is cool. Batman's cool. I retain
Batman
that.
Has predatory behavior, apparently.
I retain that. Batman is a cool dude. I will not let you besmirch his methods.
Batman's going to come pick you up in a white van. That's what Batman's going to do.
I did not say that, all right? I just said it happens in real life.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right.
Batman's
going to send the old man, Alfred, to come and pick you up in a van.
Alfred is a gentleman and a scholar, okay? You are not going to besmirch. You can besmirch Batman all you want.
Alfred.
Alfred's a good man.
I like Alfred.
Alfred Pennyworth is a nice guy.
No, he is I like Alfred. He's always got the really dry humor. And even in this, he's just like, shut up. Like, you can tell he just wants to be like, shut up. Just shut up for like 5 minutes. You brooding teenager. I have to pay your bills.
That was funny when he's like, you're not my dad, Alfred. I'm just like,
I think,
dude, like, you gotta get it together.
You're not my father. Oh my God. You can't say that type of thing when you're wearing eyeliner and your hair's in your face, man.
I'm just wearing some face, Dad. This is me.
Oh my God, there's a lot of and like I thought like their interaction with each other was very sweet, and you can tell like Alfred's kind of done with this bullshit. He's like, yeah, I'm not your father. I never said I was. Calm down. I did call Batman a dick when Alfred offered his cufflinks to him. He's like, oh, your father gave them to me. I'm like, you dick. See, his father cared. Your father, the man you keep trying to hold at such high regard.
It was funny too when he came to the hospital and Alfred's like smiles when he sees Bruce. He's like, Bruce, you're okay. And then he's just like, you lied to me. It's like, oh my God, dude. This man just survived a bomb.
Next time one of my family members are in the hospital, I'm just going to sit there and say, when they wake up, you lied to me. About what? I don't know. Like, how you doing?
I just want to see your reaction.
I want to see what comes out. And honestly, in my family, there might be something. I thought the most awkward scene of that was when Alfred holds out his hand to be held.
I like that. I like that we get to see a Batman who's not afraid of sentimentality.
Why do you have to touch to be sentimental? I don't want people to touch
also
me.
Because
don't touch me.
It's very uncommon, and I'm glad I'm seeing this in more movies. It's very uncommon to see men get to be sentimental without it being an implication of, oh, they're gay or whatever.
There's a lot of scenes like that, especially when they do like that like handshake thing where they grab the wrist, or like they do the back smack, and then you have the moments where they always hug.
That's like trying to be like, sentimental but still manly. We're men. Grab like hard handshake. This is like a soft moment that like is very vulnerable and very just honest, and like, hey, I don't care if like people are watching, like we're gonna be father and son right now. Like this is a very real vulnerable moment between two men, and it is very good to see more movies do that, especially with Batman, who is normally the character who is like no emotion whatsoever.
He is all emotion. That man is nothing but emotion. No emotion. He has so many feelings all the time.
Or rather, not no emotion, but rather he's very serious often. And so it was nice to see a Batman who's like able to let the walls down a little bit in a movie and just let his guard down and be very vulnerable.
Well, I think I mentioned to you earlier, like between my mom and my sister, like the way we show affection to each other is we hit each other. Really, not purposely, we don't like punch each other. But, like, my mom will, like, slap you on the back, and this woman is, like, gonna be 61. Like, this tall now, she shrunk a lot. And, like, skinny now. And, like, she can whack you on the back so hard, you're like, what did I do? She's like, oh, no, I was trying to comfort you. I'm like, why are you slapping me then? So, like, that's my form of affection. I thought that's awkward to me, but I guess that is a fair statement to make when, yeah, you're right. In most movies, that's... the manly thing is to do like the bro hug, the arm hold, or like the slap on the back. I didn't really grow up with that affection where you're like, just give me your hand to hold. Don't touch me. I've said that a lot during this podcast. I've made it very clear, don't touch me. And another thing I noticed in that scene, and I mentioned it to you in the movie, why is everything have roof access? Why are there so many fucking windows?
Skylights.
Everything. Like, you're right. The man just almost got assassinated or blown up by a bomb. Like, Bruce Wayne's, like, vulnerable right now. So you put the butler, who took a bomb for him, basically, in a room with a wall window. Like, there's not going to be another assassination attempt.
And a skylight.
It wasn't even a skylight. It was, like, literally a wall. It crusted over.
I thought it was just, like, there's the window, then wall, and then skylight on the roof.
The hospital looked dingy and dim lighted.
Well, that's because
Bruce Wayne could have donated to the hospital. That could have helped a little bit.
It's because it's Gotham. Everything has to be dark.
No money to the hospital. Except for the club where I almost triggered a migraine and knocks me in the hospital.
Well, those are strobe lights. That's different.
It was so, like, all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, I can't look. And, like, all I can hear is fighting. I'm like, oh, I'm missing stuff. And, like, it was, I also said this, the twins that were guarding it are from Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
And it's werewolves. I got excited because I knew the reference. And I thought it was hilarious, and I was, like, trying to explain to you, and I'm like, this is so much funnier to me.
I caught it.
Yeah, I know you caught it, but it was, like, so much funnier in the moment when I saw them. I'm like, wolves, Patterson's a vampire. I'm like, oh my god, it's vampires versus werewolves again.
They're called the twins, but I wonder if they're a reference to Tweedledee and Tweedledum, who are two Batman villains.
They were called the twins in Teen Wolf 2. I think it's just a common thing when you have twins to call twins. I get the Tweedledee thing, yeah, but I think when you just have twins, you're just like, it's the twins. Because they also all have, like, nicknames.
Well, I just thought of that because in, like, the most notorious twins in who are criminals and often are just, like criminal, like, thugs for mob bosses in Gotham are often Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And so I was like, maybe they're Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I don't know. Although, speaking of the criminals in Gotham, I loved Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I thought he was really good. Or as Oz, as they call him, which I think was also cool. I'm like Oswald Cobblepot. They call him Oz. That's great. He's apparently supposed to be getting a spinoff, kind of like how Peacemaker got a spinoff for Suicide Squad. The Penguin's going to get a spinoff.
Because he felt... I will also say the mob bosses felt more realistic in this one too, because they were fucking ridiculous. They weren't face stone or like cold, you know? They weren't like, yes, I am, you know, up here in my little thing. They were like, yeah, hey, I remember you. How you doing, buddy? Like, they had some humor to them. And then Penguin, or Oz, he was so funny because he was like, is he a mob boss too? Or is he's
like kind of like a lower level enforcer. Like he doesn't have his own guys. I know, like
he's under Falcone, but he's like...
he's under Falcone, but he runs like the club and stuff. So he's kind of just like a middleman as far as like power.
He was really good. I enjoyed his character because he was not serious about anything. He's like, look, I run drugs. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do?
I love that he caught them on the Spanish thing where he was like, he was like, I'm sorry, am I the only one here who knows proper Spanish? Like, what is this?
He's like, you're a genius, but you don't know the difference between El Rat and La Rat. Like, I also like that they left him tied up so he wobbled like a penguin.
Yeah, he waddled.
He actually had that like doo-doo-doo. So I was like, I like that. I like that he made a deal about with the drugs right in front of Batman because he knew he wasn't here for that. That Batman wasn't going to be like,
well, that he also isn't scared of him. You know, that's the best thing. Because I always say like,
because it's a rat, it's a penguin and a bat. Like, how are you going to be like so threatening? You're a bat and I'm a penguin. Like, dude, we both have ridiculous names going on.
Well, I just mean in the sense of like, I've always said like, out of all the like main Batman villains, all of them are pretty much crazy, except Penguin. Penguin's just a criminal. Everybody else has like mental issues, but Penguin is just a normal guy. And even he's still like, I don't care about Batman, dude. I'm still going to do what I want to do. I'm not scared of him.
Batman knows exactly what he's doing. He's run drugs in front of Batman, and Batman's like, whatever, I'm here for something else.
So I like that they've kind of laid the groundwork for that, where it's like, no. Penguin does not fear the Batman. Like, he will continue to do crime.
Does he have another cutesy relationship with him, too?
No.
For sure? Because they had some sweet moments.
Although, in this movie, though, I do like that Penguin is just like, Batman! Eee!
Yeah, he's like, oh, you beat up my man. Come on. You don't beat up my guys.
That's not nice. Like, come on,
he's
dude.
Like, come on. Let's talk. Let's go. He offers him a drink and everything. He's like, do you want to sit down? Are you good? Are you comfortable? Yeah.
I thought that was very cool. I was like, that's funny.
You know, that's good hospitality. That's good host. You know, he was like, are you comfortable? Let's go to an area where it's, you know, we can talk. You don't have to be around all these noises and stuff.
Thinking of the villains, because he's like in it, but he's not the main villain. Riddler in this movie is so interesting. I love their version of Riddler. It scared the hell out of me when like the movie starts and the Riddler is in the like mayor's house and you don't see him until like the mayor moves and then he's just this figure standing in the darkness. And I was like, holy well, how long have you been there? And then he continues to stand there for like a long time while the mayor's just pacing. And I was like, dude, turn around.
I will say they should have not had the duct tape at the beginning where it was. Because it almost looked like he was unbuckling his pants for a second.
It did, yeah.
Because he hit him over the head. He like straddled him from behind, and then he goes straight for his like belt area. I'm like, oh, what kind of movie is this getting into? I know they said it was like dark and grimy, like even more so. But I'm like, this better not be what
they dropped their first F-bomb in this movie like immediately, like in the first 15 minutes.
Where was it?
The police commissioner comes in and I think he says like effing vigilante or something to Batman or something like that.
I don't recall that. But yeah, I just was like, maybe that's not the best place to keep your tape. Also, that was another thing. I was like, oh yeah, this guy has no like instinct or survival instinct because the Joker literally screams before he comes at him. And the guy does
the Riddler.
The Riddler, sorry. The Riddler does it. And the guy doesn't turn around or anything. He still gets the drop on him from behind. And it's like, Did you not hear the footsteps? Did you not hear the, like... And he was breathing heavily during the entire movie. That the Riddler was a heavy breather. How do you not hear somebody breathing that heavily in a quiet-ass room? Like, that was all wooden. That place probably had really good acoustics, too.
Yeah, it did.
I will say Gotham looks like it'd be a great place to be a singer because the archways and, like, all the buildings look like they would have beautiful acoustics.
Hey, we got Black Canaries somewhere, probably.
Oh, they should bring them up. That'd be a lovely... I think that would be a lovely... Although she does a scream, too. Can she sing?
It depends on who's writing her. Sometimes she's a singer. Sometimes she's just a bar owner.
They should make her a singer. I think the place would have... I think a singer would be lovely in Gotham.
But they did make her a singer in the Birds of Prey movie. Although this is yet another DC project that takes place in its own universe. It does not take place in the DC EU.
Yeah, that's gonna like
thing.
Also, what is with... Is DC, now that you're a DC person, I guess I can directly ask, what is with the Batman, the Suicide Squad? Are we going to get the Superman?
I mean, I can't answer
that. Are we going to get, like, what is with the, is it just that they're like, all right, you know what, we're going to scrap everything and start, like, new with the, and, like, that'll work out a lot better because,
listen,
you know.
I'm in a workshop for DC. I don't actually work for them, so I can't tell you.
You're involved now.
But I think like but that's more of a reference to I'm not sure if there have been comics called The Batman. There was a cartoon when they wanted to reboot and have like a new cartoon for modern day kids after the Batman animated series, the 91 ended.
They're all like modern day, but they're still dressed in like they're in the 50s. This is the first time I've ever really seen a Batman where they're wearing...
Oh no, the Batman, it was clearly in the 2000s. Like the way they dressed, the way the buildings were, everything.
The buildings
I remember
were
that cartoon.
Yeah.
Because the Batman animated series was the one that was kind of time displaced. You weren't quite sure what time period it took place in. The Batman was like, no, it's the 2000s.
Yeah.
They have cell phones and everything.
They have like iPhones. You can live stream your murders. The Riddler had fucking followers.
Oh no, I mean the cartoon. Batman.
You're talking about the cartoon.
There was a cartoon
I was like,
literally called The Batman. So I think maybe that might be where they got the title from for this movie, is The Batman. Because he's supposed to be kind of like a mythic figure, like. Especially
mythic figure, he's fucking everywhere. He's constantly like in everybody's face all the time to make it up like a point to be in everybody's face. So that like later on, you know, I might come back, which is also just like childish.
In the sense that, you know, like he was saying in the beginning of the movie, like you have criminals scared of the dark because they think Batman's in there, regardless of if he is or isn't. Like he's created a mythos about himself that like. Criminals know, like, oh snap, the bat signal's out. Are there dark shadows? Oh, there's a one right over there. I need to get out of here. Like that's kind of that. What I mean, that's what I mean by mythic figure, in the sense that they almost think he's everywhere, but the reality is he's only one man. He can only be one place. The
Batman problem could easily be fixed with new light bulbs. If maybe the mob bosses are like, all right, we need to take out Batman. Well, the bullets aren't working. And, you know, he's got like a nice armored car now. So fire doesn't work. I got it. Let's just put every good light bulb. Let's get some LEDs like here and there and those places we can't. Like fucking black lights.
Okay, there's going to be shadows somewhere. You cannot light the entire city up to the point where you'll never not see Batman coming.
Just enough. Yeah, you can.
Also, you're not going to put out
don't put out those like yellowy lights.
You're not going to undo nighttime.
You can.
When which it's dark.
If you get like those like bright white light bulbs, yeah, you can.
And also,
I have one in my apartment.
Batman's established a precedent where if he has lights, he knows how to he'll either throw a batarang and like knock out the lights or just cut the power.
Yeah, but if
now you're in the dark anyway.
But he doesn't have a shadow to sneak around in. To like get through, you can clearly see. Batman, I see you going for your boomerang. Like I know what you're planning. I'm very now aware of what's happening.
No, you don't. Watch this.
I'm just saying, Falcone, like all of them could easily take out Batman by just investing in like city lights. I mean, you're already in bed with the politicians. You're already in bed with the politicians. Just be like, hey. I will give you more money if you just, at least on my streets, put in these LED light bulbs. I got Batman on my corner.
Would not be down for that. That's too much money to divulge into that.
Taxpayers don't know shit. Another thing about Gotham is they clearly don't know where their money's going. And then they're like, what? It was a corrupt system? Like the other 10 mayors that we've had? That we literally know that Gotham is one of the dirtiest and crime-filled cities?
Wayne was not a dirty mayor. He would have been a great mayor. He would have been...
Yeah, if he didn't play dirty beforehand. He went to Falcone. Why? Because his wife had a mental illness. That was it. Martha was mentally ill. She came from a family is given to Robert Pattinson because I was one of those people going in. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing as Batman? This is as bad as when they chose Ben Affleck. And I still stand by that comment.
I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I don't care what
you like. You like you like Batman, all right? I do respect you, Jerome, but like, shut up. You like Batman, all right?
Batman's cool.
So I did like go in making. Actually, I've gone in jokes making all the time. I make all the jokes all the time going into any Batman. But like, I was like, oh, Robert Pattinson,
everybody was against. I was probably one of the few. There was a few people who were just like, he's been in better stuff. I've seen it. I think he can be a good Batman. I do
have to watch The Lighthouse because I hear he's very good.
Yeah, Lighthouse, good time. He's a great actor.
Yeah, but then again, you have said that previously about other Batman. So it's like, like you like the Batman. Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck is also good as Batman.
Is he though?
Yes.
Or are you like it's like Stockholm syndrome?
No,
you just have to like Batman, so you're just gonna like the actors who play Batman.
I like his older Batman. I like a Batman who's just like, I've been Batman for 30 years and I'm kind of tired, to be quite honest, but I'm still doing it.
I feel like Christian Bale, that should have been his Batman.
Probably.
He's like old too. This one, Robert Pattinson feels like an age appropriate Batman when playing like a just starting out.
Yeah.
And you can see it when it's the physical, hits and stuff. He doesn't shy away from like, he's clearly sore, he can barely move, or he's like hunched over because of a rough night. I did like that because Robert Pattinson actually, like with his lean form, he was muscular, but he had such a lean form, almost like a swimmer. Showed like, yeah, when you have that type of form, you can bruise easily too. Mm-hmm. You may not get like complete damage like others would, but you do get a lot of bruising. Because you're more muscular and you have less fat on you. And I like that Robert Pattinson playing the younger Batman, just starting out. He looks like he's about only 2 years in because he's still finding his footing. He still has this awkwardness to him where he's not ready to play the suave character yet. Mm-hmm. And it is because he went through all this trauma and just locked himself away, which unfortunately does, that is a good representation of real trauma. You either like do really risky things or you block out the world or, you do all this stuff. And that I feel like that's a Batman I could believe is like, okay, I could see him turning into a vigilante. And then as you go more down this path, he's like, well, I also have to create a facade. That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. So I think this Batman's realistic. Robert Pattinson brings him to, a point where I'm like, okay, I don't dislike this Batman. So he makes me not dislike this Batman. I won't say I liked it. I refuse. I don't like Batman. I like Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. I will say it that way.
He's Batman almost the entire movie. He's barely Bruce Wayne.
I don't want to acknowledge that.
See, you just in denial is what that's called. That's called denial. It's okay.
Yeah, I have trauma too. That's denial. That's a thing we do. But yeah, no, Robert Pattinson should definitely get more credit for this film. Yeah. He did an amazing job, and I think
he does.
Hopefully leads to him getting more roles like this, because I would love to see him,
I think they're in talks to make another Batman movie after this. Like
I hope
another
they keep him as Batman.
Sequel with same director, same actors, everything. So
I would love to see Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon again.
Yeah,
their chemistry was just great, and that it felt like a real friendship. Like, yeah, there's an underlining of distrust, but like, I know you want to help this. They both knew they wanted to help the city, and like Commissioner Gordon gave the vibe of like, I know you won't go too far may beat the shit out of a man, but you're not a murderer in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think them two, if anything, if they got to replace the whole cast, except for the Penguin. I did like the Penguin. The Penguin, Batman, and Commissioner Gordon. I think those 3 actors should stay in their roles for a longer time because they fit perfectly. They did such a great job.
Yeah. Before we go, I did want to mention one last thing, and it's mostly just the cinematography of this movie is on point. I love all the cinematography in this film. My favorite shot being a lot of just great silhouette stuff with Batman, but also the ending shot when he has the flare and he's walking away in the water and all the people leading behind him are his cape. Like they fold out kind of like a cape would in the water. And I love that. I thought that was so awesome and sent the message that we have the narration later after that where Batman says like I need to be a beacon of hope for the city, but I'm like that shot was I am the beacon of hope and the city is behind me, and it didn't need no dialogue, and it was beautiful. I thought that was amazing. So I love this. I just wanted to mention that real quick because the cinematography in this film is spot on. I did like that. Even though the film was low lighting and dark because it's Batman, there was never anything that was too dark you couldn't see or make out. Mm-hmm. Like everything was clearly visible because I do have really bad eyesight. I'm not like a bat. I wish I was. I could have sonic hearing, but like I have really, really shitty eyesight. And sometimes with movies, I can't see anything. They make them too dark. And this one was actually, they did a perfect balance where it looks dark, but I can still see the silhouettes. I can still see everything. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I need to like turn up the brightness on anything. So this was like really well done with their lighting, and they kept so good when, especially with the fluid movements, lighting never drops. So I do appreciate that. Yeah. So I would say like give a final wrap up, but I feel like we've been talking for so long already. So just like, what is your grade? And let's just keep it at that. For this film. You go first. My grade for this movie is definitely an A+. I did mention that one criticism that Robert Pattinson is kind of like brooding Bruce Wayne, but I think you made some good points that because he's so new, maybe he hasn't even gotten to that part of his role of Batman that he's made the facade yet. Maybe right now it's still just like an idea, like he's still kind of figuring it out. And I like that idea. But overall, this is an A+ movie for me. I love all the action. I love the storytelling. All the portrayals of everybody is great. The cinematography is on point, and it's just a great film. I highly recommend it. Especially if you're a Batman fan, you'll love it. I don't want to admit this, but I do have to give it an A. It hurts. It physically hurts me to do so. Shut up. Because, Robert Pattinson did such an amazing job. And, like, talking to you about the lore and knowing that, and that they did it so well, it didn't pull you out. Make you go like, hey, that's a reference. It was done well enough that even there was a couple times where I'm like, I feel like they're referencing something. And I was like, this is from the comics. It has such a comic vibe to it. They chose amazing actors like Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. I didn't even know it was him at all. And I got so into the movie. Like I said, my watch called me out for it. I was, paying so much attention. It got into, the sentimental thing that I couldn't really connect with, but that was a personal thing. But it had the sweet moments. It had these lighthearted moments that didn't feel out of place, which happens a lot where they're trying to do the comedy relief or they're trying to just, give him like, the personality, but they don't know how to do it. So they're like, oh, he's being funny right here out of nowhere. Robert Pattinson just has the dry humor for Batman, which I did enjoy in the cartoons when I was younger, where he would just say little quips. I was like, Batman's kind of funny. So I did say I love that. I love, who's the actor that plays Alfred?
What's his
Andy
name?
Serkis.
I called him Gollum during the movie.
I mean, he does play Gollum.
I know he does, and that's like I love Lord of the Rings. So all the actors were shown so well. Zoe Kravitz, you know, the fluid motion she did when fighting was amazing. You can tell she had trained so much to do that because it was like flawless. It was like water, her movement. I can't really, other than it being Batman, I can't find any personal criticism towards this movie. It was well done. It was well thought out. And moving forward, DC needs to think about their films like this. They need to do more films like this because it was actually like, you can tell that there was a lot of thought into it. It was well thought out. There was no, you know, there wasn't just any moments that just took you out. Like, oh, yeah, I get it. Like, whatever. This had such a good pace, even though it was 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And you felt the 3 hours.
You did.
You still enjoed it. Yeah. You were like, I know this is like, we're hitting like the 2 hour mark. We
I had to pee at hour 2 and I sat there and just like held it.
Both of us were like jittering. The fact that I was willing to hold my pee, usually I'm just like, screw it, I'll miss the scene and ask you about it later. I wanted to stay for the whole 3 hours, and that's big for me because I don't even usually do that with like 90-minute films. So I do have to give this movie an A reluctantly because it was a good movie. It was just simply that. It was a great movie, and I think people should see it. You know, it's fortunately, yeah, I'm giving Batman an A.
I knew it. See?
Shut up. Do your sign off. Where can we find you?
Yeah. You can find me at Not Jerome Rhett on Instagram, as well as at RoboZoo Media and at Jerome_the_show to see other things I'm doing also on Instagram as well. Alex, where can people find you?
I am Alex and Nobody on Instagram and on TikTok. You can also find the TikTok account of The First Ones to Die, where I post little clips like this. I'll probably post Jerome laughing at me as I struggle through that. The First Ones to Die, you can also find that on Instagram, Twitter, all the social media, and like we said, our YouTube, where you can see videos of our podcast, book reviews, mini reviews. We recently just did one about Peacemaker.
Yep, that'll be going up at least by Saturday morning.
Yeah, so
or this past Saturday by the time this goes up.
Yeah.
But
we're talking from the future. Anyway, First Ones to Die at gmail.com is also a great place to email us. Give us suggestions, let us know why I should like the Batman when I still stand by I hate him. But just, let us know. Maybe you think of something we can review. We do like doing old movies too. I always find those fun. So always hit us up and, subscribe and rate us 5 stars.
Yep. So comment below if you have seen the Batman. Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you didn't like it, why? If you did like it, why? And what DC projects are you excited to see now that the Batman's out, and do you hope to see? I mean, heck, they've done a Peacemaker show, so at this point, nothing's off limits. Like, anything's possible. So, comment below and talk to us. But other than that, thanks for watching or listening. We hope to see you for the next one. What are we doing next week? Do we have a plan?
I don't know anymore. Dude, I just had a long waker.
Well, we're going to be back to talk about something.
And we'll have Jonathan with us.
We'll have Jonathan with us. Not in guitar form, hopefully. So, take care, everybody. See you for the next one.
All right.
Bye.